The Green Brigade has just dropped a major statement ahead of Saturday's boycott. There's fresh transfer speculation around a key midfielder, and Chris Sutton has serious doubts about Martin O'Neill's transfer window happiness. Plus, Celtic's fixture list just got shaken up with a surprise TV move, and the fans collective has confirmed the boycott is going ahead. It's been an intense 24 hours, but first, make sure you like this video and subscribe to the channel for more Celtic content. Celtic's standoff with sections of the support has taken another turn on Friday night, with the Green Brigade issuing a statement in response to Brian Wilson's call for talks and the planned boycott led by the Celtic fans collective. What was meant to be a step toward calm has instead highlighted how divided things still are. All of this sits in the shadow of Saturday's Scottish Cup tie against Dundee. On the field, Celtic are trying to maintain form and keep momentum going. Away from it, attention has shifted to who the club is choosing to engage with and who feels left out. Wilson has spoken about meetings, but the way those meetings are being set up has become the main talking point. The Green Brigade say the club has now agreed to sit down with them, something that has not happened for a long time. That is a change, but their statement makes clear they do not see this as a breakthrough on its own. Instead, they have pointed back to the Celtic fans collective and the role it has played in pushing the current protest into view. From their side, the problem is not whether the club is willing to talk, but how it is doing so. They believe any meaningful discussion should begin with the collective rather than the club speaking to groups one by one behind closed doors. There is a fear that old patterns are being repeated. This goes beyond one statement or one group. It is about whether Celtic can find a better way to deal with its support at a time when trust is fragile and frustration has been building for months. The Green Brigade statement reads, "Yesterday evening, the club finally relented on its position and accepted to meet with the Green Brigade. However, this was part of a series of separate meeting invites to various fan organisations which excluded the Celtic fans collective. The Green Brigade welcomes the opportunity for dialogue with the club. However, we believe that at this point it is in the wider interests of everyone concerned, supporters and club, that a meeting between the Celtic fans collective and club takes precedence. The Celtic fans collective is the broadest, most representative Celtic fan body. It has led an effective campaign for positive change which has delivered results. This includes the impending boycott and further protest actions which have clearly moved the club's position." Now, for the main story, as a report from Nosso Palestra has suggested Rio Hatate was offered to Palmeiras by intermediaries, but the detail matters more than the headline. The wording does not suggest Celtic are actively pushing any kind of transfer. That point is important. There is a huge difference between a club offering a player and intermediaries testing the market. In this case, Nosso Palestra make clear that Palmeiras did not pursue the idea because Hatate does not fit the profile they are looking for. Talks never moved beyond that early stage. From a Celtic point of view, the timing alone makes a sale hard to believe. The league title is still up for grabs. Celtic are in the middle of a title fight. Hatate remains important to how Celtic play. Selling him in February without any chance to replace him would weaken the team immediately. Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain is also set to sign in the coming days, which will add another body to the midfield. That helps with rotation and managing fitness, but it does not change the balance of the side. Oxlade-Chamberlain is arriving after time out of the game and will need minutes to build rhythm. He is cover, not a replacement. Losing Hatate at this stage would still strip Celtic of a player who understands the tempo, the system, and the demands of a title run. Recent behaviour backs that up. Celtic rejected a late £25 million bid for Arne Engels on deadline day, choosing stability over cash when the window was closing. That decision showed a clear line in the sand. If the club were unwilling to lose Engels at that moment, it is even harder to see why they would open the door to Hatate days later. If there is movement here, it makes more sense from the player's side. Hatate has been linked with interest outside Scotland before. Intermediaries acting on his behalf or on behalf of clubs watching him would not be unusual. That does not mean Celtic are listening. For now, the report feels more speculative than real. There is no logic in Celtic selling a key midfielder mid-season with no replacement available. In other news, Chris Sutton believes Martin O'Neill was not quite as content as he made out during his Sky Sports sit-down earlier this week. The former Celtic striker knows his old manager well, and after discussing a chaotic January window, Sutton sensed there was more going on beneath the surface. O'Neill was asked directly about a transfer window that delivered 6 loan signings, no permanent additions, and a familiar late scramble as deadline day loomed. On the face of it, the Celtic manager struck a positive tone, insisting he was happy with the business completed. Sutton was not convinced. Writing in his Daily Record column, Sutton suggested O'Neill may have been putting on a brave face. I'm not so convinced, as I suspect O'Neill might have been putting on a brave face. Is he really happy? Sutton wrote. He went on to add that O'Neill was never likely to criticise the club publicly, but doubts remained, particularly around players arriving at the last possible moment. Celtic News understands this window followed the now familiar scattergun approach behind the scenes, with the club effectively searching for short-term fixes rather than executing a clear, coherent recruitment plan. There was no strategy, more hope that something would turn up. Sutton singled out several of the arrivals. Junior Adamu and Joel Mvuka were highlighted as players who have struggled in recent times and may arrive in Glasgow with points to prove rather than momentum behind them. Benjamin Arthur, meanwhile, is regarded as a highly rated young talent at Brentford, but his limited first-team exposure raises obvious questions. Sutton pointed out that it would only take an injury or suspension for Arthur to be thrust into the deep end, potentially in a fixture as demanding as the derby at Ibrox. That, he noted, would be a huge ask for a player still finding his feet at senior level. Celtic sit 6 points behind Hearts and 3 adrift of Rangers, albeit with a game in hand that could reduce both gaps. This was a window where supporters wanted firm, prompt, and emphatic action to support a title push. Instead, they were served hesitation and patchwork solutions. Most of the players brought in will be gone in 4 months, their Celtic careers little more than a footnote. That reality only sharpens the concern. There is no long-term security here, only a hope that short-term motivation and professionalism can carry the side through a decisive period. Sutton summed it up plainly. The feeling that remains is that his old Celtic manager could do with all the help he can get. Whether this window truly provides that help will be tested quickly. It's Dundee up next on Saturday in the Scottish Cup with a boycott called by the Celtic Collective. In other news, Celtic's Premiership fixture schedule has been tweaked once more, with their away game at Tannadice moved after being selected for live TV. The Hoops were due to play Dundee United in March, but Sky Sports' choice has led to a change in when the match will be played. The fixture will now take place on Sunday, March 22nd, with a noon kickoff. Celtic know there are few easy trips to Tannadice, no matter the time. Dundee United usually keep things physical and awkward. A lunchtime kickoff gives no space for easing into the game. Sharpness has to be there from the off. This game falls during Celtic's busiest run of the season. A moved kickoff affects rest days, training plans, and how players recover between matches. Fortunately for Celtic, it currently sits within a 7-day rest period following the match against Motherwell at Celtic Park. For fans making the trip, Sunday lunchtime games split opinion. They work for television, but many fans have to get up earlier, make the journey to Dundee, and cut weekends short. However, Celtic's support will still turn up, even if it demands extra effort. The job itself stays the same. Celtic still have to go to Dundee and deal with what is in front of them. The timing has changed, but the task remains the same. That's all the latest Celtic news for today. Make sure to hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and drop a comment below with your thoughts. I'll see you in the next one. Hail, hail.